Winter is coming, assuming it can get here through all the sap. Bear and the Maiden Fair. As the season has been going on, even though I'm really enjoying it, I've been nitpicking little things because, well, you know, I'm a geek. We nitpick. Actually, looking back over the scope of the show, there has never been a single episode where I've been like, you know, I kind of wish I didn't watch that. Until now. You remember last time I complained about the new romantic pairing and the emphasis on romantic love as a driving motivator for these characters, and obviously you could see how much that bothered me. Well, this episode was that times 4. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy watching it, and I don't like what it's doing to the characters. Setting the specific people in each of these pairings aside for a second, just the general idea that there's all these romantic pairings and that romantic love is being presented as a driving motivator for their actions really bothers me. Because one thing that I always loved about the show was that romantic love was almost never anybody's primary motivation for doing anything. And this is a bit of a pet peeve of mine in general. Unless the story is truly supposed to be about the love of these two people, 99% of the time I would cut the romantic subplots out of movies and television. They drive me crazy. They're there simply because it's a trope. Whenever a movie or a TV show sticks two people together who have decent chemistry, eventually they're gonna put them together. And it wouldn't bother me if it was just sex, but it's like, and now they're in love, and now they're only gonna care for each other. And it's like, well, you've just screwed the entire dynamic of what you've had before because you've changed what their motivations are. And I'm not saying these characters can't grow and they can't learn to love other people, but to have it happen en masse, all at once, with so many disparate characters, it just feels like a really harsh gear shift for the series as a whole. And I'm hoping what happened was they just took all these romantic angles and crammed them into this one episode so that they don't have to clutter up other episodes. I'm hoping that in retrospect, this episode is going to be like ripping off a bandage. But I'm really afraid of the lasting reverberations of all of this emphasis on romance. Prior to this season, really, the only time romantic love was ever a primary motivator for anybody was with Daenerys when she tried to bring Khal Drogo back. And that time it worked because we had seen that love grow over so long a period of time. We really were invested in it, and more to the point, she was young and it was her first love, so you could get, okay, she's going to go further than is reasonable for him. Okay, great. But now we've got all these other pairings, pretty much all of which were people who just met. Or if they didn't just meet, we haven't spent a lot of time with them up to the point so it feels like they haven't been together very long. None of these carry the weight of Daenerys and Khal Drogo, and all of them are just bogging it down. And to add insult to injury for this episode, we have the continued endless torture of Theon Greyjoy. Look, I've given it a pass up to this point. Obviously, we established where he was and the situation he was in. And the next few times it came up, while it made me a little bit uncomfortable, each time that we showed him, we were given some new information about his situation, about the people who were jailing him, and so forth. This time, there is no new information learned whatsoever, and it's a scene that produces, without a doubt, the most gratuitous nudity and gratuitous violence that this show has ever put out. And given the track record of this show so far, that's saying something. There wasn't a lot that I liked in this episode. I mean, Daenerys had a good bit because it was one of the only things that wasn't dealing with romance. Pretty much everyone else, they're just talking about their devotion and their love, or they're talking about someone who they used to love. Somebody actually uttered the line, "We will die, but first, we will live." This episode feels like fan fiction of Game of Thrones. I just hope this doesn't represent a major shift in these characters because I liked them the way they were. And I'm not saying that these characters can't change, but to have all of them start doing it for love, when this show has been so dynamic and deep, especially in terms of characters' motivations, to have it ultimately either boil down or shift over to something as generic and abstract as romantic love, it just feels like a massive backslide to something far more generic than the show has been up to this point. Now, before I put this video out there, I took a peek online. It seemed like general consensus on this show was pretty positive, and I'm left scratching my head. So leave a comment down below. Am I out of my mind? Hey, if I am, tell me about it. We'll talk. And until next time, this council is adjourned.